Hello everyone, welcome back. The changing colours of the landscape we now call home continue to bring me joy. I'm going slowly, developing new routines that support my soul, like going to bed earlier so I can rise earlier to see the mornings. Every day is different, every sunrise. Every sunset. Even those sunsets from out our front door down the hill. It's a heart-healing place, without a doubt, with special memories being created already, with a visit from my cousin and then from some friends. I feel so grateful that this land called me home. Having a sense of belonging, and there are many forms of that we can hope to experience in a lifetime, brings peace to a new level. I have a bit to share with you today about money, as well as showing you the start of our fruit tree adventure, so I'll start with that. I've been doing some transplanting. Also just giving some existing plants a bit of extra compost and mulch. This one is just some flowering bulbs, I can't remember the name of them, purple flowers, but I may have moved them at the wrong time. They may not come back this season, but they'll go in the ground soon, the flowers. That's not, I've just got to get the soil prepared and everything. This is our fig tree. I've tasted, this is a cutting off a fig, an existing fig, and I've tasted the fruit that it gives, and it's going to be a joyful day when ours produces fruit. This cactus started off as the tiniest little thing, and it belongs to my daughter. I actually want to put it in the ground and see if it'll just grow humongous, but my daughter wants to put it into one of these pots first, so we'll see. We've got some strawberries growing in the pink one that have been with us since up north. It's been with us for about 3-4 years. Looks a bit covered at the moment, but we just gave it a lot of extra mulch. There's a few fruits coming through there. It's prolific actually, just keeps giving. I just find that so amazing that food can grow like that. That food grows. Mint, it doesn't need any help to grow anywhere, but we did give it some extra compost and mulch. And this is our first cherry tree. It's a sweet cherry, a cherry lapins. I'm not sure where to put the trees, to be honest. That's why they're in pots at the moment. I am sort of dreaming about doing a caged orchard out in the paddock. But if I do that, I also have to get a shed and water tanks to supply water to the trees. I have some other plans for this area, so it needs levelling out before I can plant anything there. So until I make a decision, probably in a year or so, once I feel into the place, then I'll know where to put the trees. And so then we've got to stack another lot up here. This one's the mulberry tree. I've had it for quite a while now, maybe about a year. Just moved it into a bigger pot. It's going to be scrumptious. This is our other cherry tree, Cherry Stella. The two cherry trees fruit about 2 or 3 weeks apart, so when one finishes we've still got the other one for a few weeks. Yeah, I can't wait. It's the first cherry tree ever, these two. Navel orange tree. No, not navel, Valencia. I like Valencias better than navels. I find them easier to peel. So yeah, this one's just been moved yesterday. And then we've got a Pink Lady red apple and a Granny Smith green apple. And so the Pink Lady needed a cross-pollinating apple tree, as long as there's one within a few kilometres really, but the Granny Smith is not only good for making apple pie, but it cross-pollinates with just about every other apple tree. So we thought, well, why get two of the same? So we got Pink Lady and Granny Smith, so a red and a green one. Yeah, and oranges, cherries, mulberries, cherries, mint, strawberry, figs. There's a couple of other things I'm planning on getting, but it feels great to get these ones started. So I've made some huge money decisions, like huge decisions around my finances with this house, and the two main ones I just want to touch on briefly, semi-briefly, is the solar system and the fence. So the fence is not my ideal dream fence, and part of the reason I chose the one I did was out of respect of money. So these days I see money as a friend, and if you can make friends with money and truly see it as a friend, then you don't have so much fear around the lack of it, that you know it's a good friend and good friends always show up when you most need them. You don't doubt that they're going to show up. They might be away doing other things and you don't see them for a while, but then they just turn up when you most need them. And so I sort of see money that way, but in doing so, money has to be a positive force thing, because you love your friends and you respect them, you treat them with respect. So I could have potentially wasted a lot of money that really needed to be used in other areas on the fence I wanted, but out of respect of my friend, money, I didn't want to be wasteful with it. So I chose a simple star picket chicken wire type fence, and it'll be covered with flowers soon enough, well, sometime anyway. But the other thing was, I definitely wanted these rocks to be incorporated in the house yard, and so if I'd have gone with the fence I wanted, for the same price I would have had to cut off this whole area, and it was more important to me to have these rocks inside than to have the most pretty fence on the planet. And really the fence is just to keep the dogs in and to keep the neighbours' cows out. So and hopefully it'll keep some rabbits out and some of the wildlife. I don't know, I'll stay tuned on that one over time. So the decision around the fence was not only based on wanting to keep these rocks in, but it was based around treating money as my friend and respecting it and not wasting its love. So realizing that, okay, do I really need a fancy fence? I don't. Do I want to blow money on this fancy fence, this other fancy fence, when that money could be used in other ways towards this build? Yeah, and so whenever I think of money as a friend, I always feel safe around it. I don't, if I find myself getting scared about lack, like going back into an old lack story from, part of my healing, I always come back to the fact that money is my friend and always shows up when I need it, because that's what good friends do. And sure enough, money does. So if you can make friends with money, it's a massive, massive difference in your life and the way you approach money. Having said that, abundance comes in many forms, and I decided with the solar system to actually go above what we needed. So the reason for that is I didn't want to be living in a place of lack, worrying about the power not meeting our needs and waking up one day to all the power being off and all our food being wasted and things like that. And so the batteries were 5 kilowatt batteries, and when I looked on our bill in town when we were renting in there, it was 8 kilowatts a day was our average use. But that's an average, so some days we would have used more, some days we would have used less. So even if I had have gone for 2 batteries at 10 kilowatts, I may have had days where, like today is really cloudy, and so the panels are not being charged, so we're living off the battery today. So there would have been days like today, if we'd have gone for just the 2 batteries, where I'd have been concerned about power usage. And I wanted to live comfortably. I don't live extravagantly, but I definitely wanted to live comfortably, especially around our food supply and just general comfort. So we went for a 15 kilowatt system, and so the only addition to the power we had in town to here is there's a water pump. A small water pump pumps every time we turn a tap on to bring it from the tanks into the house. So that doesn't need 5 kilowatts of power, but it does allow us on days like this to know that no matter what, there's enough battery power, and the system is set up so that once it gets down to a certain level, the generator will kick in. But my whole point of opting for an electric hot water system and solar power is to have no dependency, or as little dependency as possible, on fossil fuels. So everything is powered by the sun here, and the solar systems are not perfect in terms of the care for the earth. They're not perfect yet, but it's a better, for me it feels like a better option, that on the sunny days, the panels that are on the shed, they bring enough energy in to power the house without even touching the batteries, and let alone the generator, and the generator is run on diesel. So at this point we haven't needed to use the generator at all. It does kick in every 21 days just to keep the motor healthy. So I decided in that case that around money, that I didn't want to be living in fear or lack around my energy supply, and so I actually invested the money in a better energy supply so I can keep my mind in an abundant mindset, that I can keep my thoughts in an abundant mindset. But just on another quick note, abundance doesn't just come through money, it also comes through support. And so I have some amazing support systems in my world, and I don't know how I would have coped without some of those people. And so to me that feels like it's a form of abundance, because it keeps my stress levels down, it nurtures me, the support system helps with things that I can't do sometimes. But also, here's a prime example of abundance. I was trying to get someone to do some burning off for me, just to make it a lower fire risk and to get rid of some dead bits and pieces. And I leave the dead logs for the wildlife that may shelter under it, but there was some other things that needed burning off, old dead noxious weeds and stuff like that. And I had tried for about a year to find someone to do it for me, because I can't run. My daughter helped me sit down on this rock, and she'll come and help me get back up again. I can't squeeze a petrol Bowser some days. I don't have, my fingers and wrists are completely fused, and they don't have the strength they used to. Excuse me. So I was trying to find someone for over a year to do this burning off, and finally I got in touch with the RFS, the Rural Fire Service, and I'd been in touch with one locally, and they'd said, no, we don't want to do it. And I'm like, I'll pay someone to do it. No one around here's got time, blah, blah, blah. Went into the local fire station in town. Oh, no, that's RFS, that's out of town, we can't touch that. And I said, does anyone want to earn some cash on a weekend? No, we can't do that. It's like, oh, okay. Anyway, I got in touch with the regional RFS, spoke to them about my situation, and they came out and did an assessment of the place. And then they have been here this week, and they're coming back again next week, and they're using my place as a training ground for new volunteers for the Rural Fire Service. The job was overseen by like management level mitigators who understand the science of fires. I could not have had a better team to manage my fire risk, and they're coming back to finish off next week as well. And they won't take money. They're a government department. They said they can't take money. I said to the boss, look, I'll go into town and buy you guys a carton of beer, but I don't drink alcohol, so haven't bought beer for a couple of decades. What's the trending beer these days? And he said, we're not allowed to have beer. We're not allowed to accept anything from you. And I said, but if I gave you? He said, we can't. We'd leave it here. And I said, oh, okay. He said, look, we know you're grateful. That's enough. And so for the absolute comfort of safety, I have been blessed with this crew that is doing work for me for free out here, and that is abundance. So money doesn't always come, abundance doesn't always come in forms of money. It comes in forms of support. It comes in the decisions that you make, whether I wanted to waste money on a fancy fence or whether I wanted to respect money and make a more sensible decision. So that's sort of my reflections around money. If you can look at money as a friend, then you won't drop into the fear space as often as you may have otherwise, because good friends turn up when you need them. And every time I think of money like that, money turns up for me. Thanks for sharing this time today. I'll finish with a gift to your nervous system, an outro of scenes since the last vlog for your senses to absorb gently. Breathe it in, and I'll see you next time. you.